Hi, my name is Bria Anthony, and I'm here to give a persuasive speech on elder abuse. Elder abuse is any type of abuse that happens to elders the ages of 60 or older. This can include financial, emotional, sexual, physical, financial abuse. It is experienced actually by 1 out of every 10 people who are over the age of 60. But this number is more than likely inaccurate because less than 50% of cases are actually reported. So either the person who's being abused is too afraid to come forward, or they physically can't, or because of cognitive issues that don't allow them to do so. And then, as far as the population goes that could come forward, they just don't come forward and report cases that they may see. But elder abuse is a public health issue. It is an epidemic, and it is not just in the United States, it is across the world. Elder abuse is an epidemic. 1.6% of cases are physical, 0.6% are sexual, 4% are emotional, and 5.2% are financial. Financial is the biggest one only because a lot of the abuse happens within like the home by a family member or by a friend. And older people, they typically have a savings or money that they've saved up throughout time, and if they're older and they're not really paying attention to their finances, it is easy to take advantage of them and steal that money. So that's why financial is such a big one, because they have assets, they have savings, they have retirement, and people know that and they come in and they try to take it. So my goal today is to try to persuade people to come forward when they see elder abuse happening. Come forward when you think that, even if you suspect it, come forward and talk about it, or just talk to the person. See if they'll open up to you. If you think somebody's being abused sexually, mentally, physically, emotionally, any of the above, just sit with them, ask them questions. They might open up to you like they've never opened up to anybody else. I'm trying to persuade people to be a voice for the people who do not have a voice for themselves. For the people who cannot speak up for themselves, you have to be that voice. I have to be that voice. Like, we have to come together to stop this epidemic because it is getting out of control. Especially, abusers tend to take advantage of the fact that a lot of elderly people suffer from the disease known as dementia, which is severe memory loss mainly. But it does cause them to wander, they forget, it's a terrible disease, and the person begins to just go downhill. And when you have dementia, it is hard for anything that you say to be considered credible. If somebody with dementia comes and says that they were abused or that somebody stole something from them, it's highly likely that that will not be taken seriously, because people with dementia, they forget, they don't remember things, they make up stories, it messes with their mind. So we have to be the voice for those people who are confused or who are not considered credible, because it's hard and complicated to fight those cases when the only person you have saying that something happened is the person with dementia. It's just hard to detect it, and that within itself is the main reason, because these abusers are abusing people who are vulnerable, who they know cannot stand up for themselves. That's why they need us to be a voice. My whole thing about this and trying to get people to come forward is for you to think about, what if this was you? You have to get old one day. We all have to get to that point where somebody may have to take care of us. And if that was you and nobody took you serious because you had a mental condition, how would that make you feel? To know that something did happen to you, but that you cannot come forward and say anything. You would need somebody to speak up for you. Even if it was a friend of somebody who abused you. Even if somebody's venting to somebody else about what they did or how they got money from this older person, that person needs to speak up and be a voice. I'm persuading you to think about if it was you. Think about if it was your grandma or your grandfather. What if that was your loved one being abused and nobody could speak up for them? People refuse to speak up for them. You have to be that voice for them. Common abuse, it is very common for abuse to happen in the home, but it does happen in healthcare settings too often. Hospitals, nursing homes especially. This is the place where people go to call a home. They leave their actual home and try to make this something so different a home, and they're being abused and mistreated, and things are being stolen from them, and they have nobody to speak up for them. Everybody is in that facility being quiet. Everybody knows what's going on, but nobody's coming forward. But if you know what's going on and you witness abuse, please come forward and be a voice. It is time for us to step up and be a voice for the people who cannot speak up for themselves. Just think about if this was you. All I'm asking for is support for elder abuse, to understand what it means to be abused for the elderly population, to understand the legal perimeters, what you have the right to do, what you can do, for you to research who you can talk to, for you to see what can happen when people do get prosecuted for this. There's a way to stop elder abuse, and it starts with you. It starts with a voice. Somebody just needs to come forward. And today my only goal was to persuade you to support the movement of getting, the numbers of elder abuse cases reported higher. I know we can't get it to 100%, but less than 50% right now are being reported. We could just get that number up. Little by little, we can make the biggest difference. Thank you. Have a good day.